And before we start with normal activities here, I'd just like to welcome and introduce some of the newer members. Dr. William Spring is a member of the Planning Commission. And we have Amy Marcel, who is an alternate for Marty Gallagher.
No.
Okay.
Dave Moore.
Dave
Dave
Moore.
Moore.
And Mott,
Oh,
because Marty's here.
okay.
I don't miss these meetings much.
Okay.
I was late one time.
That's not Jeff Armbruster down there.
Yeah, I know that Dave Greenspan is alternate, right?
That's right.
Okay. Anyway, I'd like to welcome all of you, the new members and the alternates, and we certainly need all the help we can get. And at this point in time, I'd ask Kristen to do the roll call for those of us who are here, and then move on to the agenda.
Matt Hignett, Dave Greenspan, Dick Connectus,
Here.
Butch Bourne,
Here.
Virginia Haynes,
Here.
Carl Wiesmeyer,
Here.
Gary Gibbs,
Here.
Jeff Riddell,
Here.
Amy Marceau, here, and Marty Gallagher.
Here.
And lastly, Bill Spring.
Here.
Okay, let's all stand up. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next order of business on our agenda is old business, and that's a report from the nominating committee and election of officers. And Commissioner Riddell and Carl Wiesmeyer and myself were the nominating committee, and for the present time, in the interest of having some forward motion from where we've been at the end of last year, we've decided, or recommending to the commission, that Carl and I just switch seats. We've been 2 years in the seats we're in now. I'm the chairman of this commission, and Carl is the vice chairman, and that makes him the chairman of the subdivision review committee, which meets every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. If there are any developments that are seeking approval. So because we have mostly new members or people who don't have the capability to say they could serve both on Tuesday and Thursday fairly regularly, we're recommending that that be a consideration. Beyond that, I don't have anything further to say. Pardon?
Who's gonna be secretary?
Secretary, well, I recommended Gary.
I was
He's
gonna say,
not turned out yet, we don't.
he's not, he's only done this for one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need a new
Well, we're
secretary.
gonna have Butch be,
Literally, all you do is sign the minutes.
yeah, it's just a matter of signing. Well, let Kristen continue to do it all.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay, well, we have a nomination. Do you have any further discussion or any nominations for either secretary or for chairman or vice chairman? It's up to the commission.
I move nominations be closed.
Second.
We have a nomination and a second. We have any further discussion? If not, for a vote that Carl Wiesmeyer will be chairman of the planning commission for 2026. I will be the vice chairman for the planning commission for 2026. And Gary Gibbs will be, oh, excuse me, Bush Board is now, would be the secretary for 2026.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, the election is completed, and we have a new set of officers, or at least a change in the chairs. Okay, the next order of business.
Wait a minute.
Carl's gotta take over now.
Sorry, Dick.
Excuse me. Good.
Sorry, Dick.
Take over.
All right. Just wanna thank everybody for voting for me. It was a tough election. All right. So, let's move forward. We need to get the approval of the December 18th, 2025, meeting minutes.
So moved the,
Second.
minutes.
Okay, we have a proper first and a second. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bill, I'll put you as abstain since you weren't here.
All right. So those are approved now. Then, on December 18th, we also have a special meeting. So I need to get the approval of the minutes for the special meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Which? Okay, we have a proper first and a second for that. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, report on previous zoning cases. The first one will be ZC 2024-14 for New Russia Township.
All right, planning commission met on September 25th, and we approved updates to the zoning resolution except for prohibiting ADUs and ponds under a quarter of an acre. Those are attached dwelling units, if anybody doesn't know what an ADU is. The township met in October, and they did not accept our recommendation. They removed the proposed text on ADUs and agreed to have further discussions on the topic, as the current zoning resolution only allows one dwelling unit per lot. Recommend delete text as proposed for ponds less than a quarter of an acre, agritourism, and yard sales. Township trustees met in December, and they did not accept the zoning commission's recommendation either. And, they made the motion to, deny all amendments. So the next case is ZC 2025-17. This was from Amherst Township. We heard this case in November. We recommended approval of a rezoning from R2 to R3. The zoning commission met in December, and they voted to accept those recommendations, and the trustees met later in December and also accepted that recommendation. Last case is ZC 2025-13. This was from Eaton Township, and this was heard in August. And, we recommended approving the amendment to definitions with considerations. The zoning board met in September, and they accepted most of the recommendations except for one. And the township trustees met in October, and they accepted those.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Do we have any other old business that needs to be taken care of? Hearing none, move on to new business. Subdivision Review Committee,
No, this is just a revised preliminary plan, since the modifications are small in nature. We decided to send them right to planning commission, and Jeremy is here, and he could describe the changes that they're proposing to make.
Okay, Jeremy, you're up.
Jeremy Cray with Fulton Homes, 387 Medina Road. So, last month, we approved the addition of the Hickory Greens Preserve, which is the fourth addition of the unit. And that had a stub street coming from Hickory Greens proper. So this adjusted because we had to eliminate a lot to bring the road through. And then when we adjusted that lot, we also changed some of the smaller product that was a 3-car. We changed them to a larger size lots. So the lot count was 622 in Hickory Greens proper. It drops down to 621. The roads all stay the exact same except for the one stub street that was just connecting the previously approved Hickory Greens Preserve, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
And I can certainly answer any questions you might have relative to it.
I don't have any questions, I don't know if anybody here has any. Obviously, the trustees had no issue with what you wanted to do.
No,
Because basically, you really met their request as far as.
Yeah, the previously approved
Previously,
plan, in
yeah.
addition of the 40 additional units, we met with them and full town halls full of people
Right,
to find a compromise on a plan that worked for everybody,
right,
so.
that's what my understanding was at our previous meeting. So, all right, Jeremy, thank you.
Thank you.
I move that we give them the revision.
Second.
Second, all right, we have a first and a second to approve the revised preliminary plan. Is there any other discussion between the committee? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Okay, 3.5 to 1 ratio variances. At this point, we have none. The next would be zoning cases. Let's talk about ZC 2026-01 Pittsfield Township.
Yes, the Pittsfield Township Zoning Commission is proposing to add a statement to chapter 4-9, section D, roads and culverts and driveways, requiring a permit before tying into a township road storm tile and inspection by the road supervisor before backfilling. The staff recommendation is to approve the amendment. Staff further recommends that the township clean up the wording a little. The use of road tile and storm tile next to each other is awkward. This is a common practice for driveway culvert installation, or the township will install the pipe for the property owner. But if they're talking about storm water drainage, most townships do not let you tie directly into their tile with storm water. So basically, the road tile is designed for the drainage of the road, it's not designed for your personal drainage.
So do we have the actual wording?
Yeah, it's on the back of the page. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yes, the wording is a little tougher. Okay,
I move that we accept the staff recommendation as written by Kristen.
Second.
okay, we have proper first and a second to approve, the amendment, with the staff recommendation. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay. All right, ZC 2026-02, New Russia Township.
Okay, the New Russia Township Zoning Commission has received a request to withdraw the previous application to rezone 8 parcels from R11 agricultural residential and general business to IP industrial park, and has made a new application to rezone now 9 parcels. All the parcels on the north side of Russia Road between the airport and State Route 58. Combined, the total of parcels is approximately 623 acres. The adjoining properties are zoned IP Industrial Park District to the east, general business to the west, and R11 residential to both the north and the south. Most of the land use is agricultural with single-family residences on the existing road frontages. Since the area is adjacent to an IP1 industrial park district, the staff recommendation is to approve the amendment on the condition that there are adequate setbacks and buffering requirements to protect the existing residential properties. So they were concerned about the first application because of the timing and things like that, so they first requested to withdraw the previous application. And then they have now acquired an option on an additional parcel, so they're now requesting for 9 parcels to be included in the rezoning.
Okay. So, do we have any kind of motion at this point?
Or comments,
Well, I was gonna do comments after we have.
I mean, from the board, and then we can open it up to the public.
So nothing has changed except that rather than amend the original thing that we processed before, they withdrew it, added 1 more parcel and they're bringing it back.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that's
That's
changed,
the
is
only
the
thing that's
addition of
changed.
1 more parcel. Okay.
Any other comments from the board? Okay, can we get a, let's get a first and second, and then we can have discussion. Well, we'll do that, but I think we really need to have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So let's open this up for general.
No, open to discussion.
Okay.
No, nothing's been approved yet.
Okay.
But it's just Robert's Rules of Order.
I didn't know what the motion was for.
To put it on the
To
floor.
put it on the floor to discuss it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the motion was to approve the request.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah. And
Okay.
then there's discussion and then you vote.
Discussion.
Yeah,
and
so
then
now
we'll
we're
go
gonna
back
have the
to
public
discussion.
discussion.
Correct.
Anybody who wants to speak, please come before the board and give me your name and address for the records, and, everyone has 3 minutes each, was it?
Yes.
Yes.
Info 14465 Russian Road, Elyria, Ohio. You guys all have a copy of this in front of you, so if I don't get through it in 3 minutes, you can read, I hope you do read through it. Since the area to be rezoned is essentially a rectangle and the one side, east side touches the airport, only approximately 25% of the adjoining properties is zoned IP1. A little over 50% adjoins RAG in, Amherst Township, R1 in New Russia Township. The remainder along Route 58 adjoins GB1. There are currently no businesses located in the GB1 properties adjoining the requested area. There are several homes and farms. There are 37 dwellings on properties adjoining along with several parcels that have been purchased with the intent to build a residence. The interest of these owners needs to be considered. All of the parcels in question do lie under enterprise zone. The enterprise zone covers most of the northern 1/3 of Lorain County, so it's not unique to just these 9 parcels. An enterprise zone designation is not a mandate for industrial development. You can see that in the attachment. The New Russia Township Land Use Plan lists 8 of the 9 parcels in its farmland preservation area, in map 4-1, as well as land south of Russia Road. On page 411, these are all in your packet, of the Township Land Use Plan, it says prevent conversion of farmland preservation areas into residential or other uses. Nowhere in Ohio revised codes does an enterprise zone exclude agricultural use. Preserving farmland is a recurring theme in the New Russia Township land use plan. At the request of Lorain County, New Russia Township has already rezoned 962 acres of the airport to IP1. To date, nothing has been done. The land use plan supported this change and indicates parcel ending in 27, which is on the east side of Oberlin Road, should be rezoned to IP1. The New Russia Township land use plan is not saying no to development, it has directed it into specific areas. The township has over 2,000 acres zoned either neighborhood business, general business, heavy industrial, motorist service, and industrial park district. Pillar 6 of the Lorain County Strategic Plan addresses maintaining and enhancing the county's important natural resources. Section 5.6.1 says, Lorain County is home to some fantastic natural resource assets, such as water, river, and green spaces. These will need managing and protecting as urban and industrial development expands. Section 5.6.2, Action 18 says, enhance and maintain important agricultural and water resources for long-term use. Once land is removed from agricultural use, it's almost never returns to agricultural use, and in some cases sits as an unused former commercial site. To recommend rezoning these parcels does not abide by the Lorain County Strategic Action Plan. If the Lorain County Planning Commission recommends approval of all 9 parcels to be rezoned to IP1, they are saying to every township, village, and city in Lorain County that land use plans are worthless. The rezoning of these parcels would also eliminate the phrase zoned for your protection, effectively making zoning worthless in Lorain County. So I hope you would take the time to actually look through the maps and things that are highlighted before you make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Karen Johnson, 33 Lakeview Drive, Grafton, it's actually in Carlisle Township. Today I object to the rezoning of parcels west of Overland Road in New Russia Township to Industrial Park. First, this rezoning violates the township's 2013 comprehensive land use plan, which clearly designates the parcel for farmland preservation. Ohio Revised Code 519.02, zoning must be made in accordance with a comprehensive plan. A recommendation that directly contradicts that plan is unlawful. Second, I confirmed with the Ohio Department of Development that zoning is a police power, while an enterprise zone is only an economic tool. An enterprise zone does not authorize or imply industrial zoning. Third, and critically, the enterprise zone west of Oberlin Road exists only because land in New Russia Township and Amherst Township was added to meet qualifications to form an enterprise zone as a tool to make the airport viable, not because New Russia Township intended industrial development there. When the airport was losing money in the 1990s, the county created a port authority and an enterprise zone. The airport alone did not qualify, so the land west of the airport was added and the zone was extended into Amherst Township, solely to use its population to meet statutory thresholds. That administrative maneuver does not convert farmland into industrial land, and industrial zoning was never reflected in any land use plan. Fourth, property owners purchased this land with full disclosure that it was zoned agricultural residential and designated for farmland preservation. They received no promise of rezoning and knowingly assumed that risk. And fifth, the county should not rely on the airport's industrial park zoning as an anchor. That zoning suffered procedural defects, including statutory timing violations and an apparent failure to record the zoning change. The recorder's office cannot locate it. A defective rezoning cannot justify expansion. Finally, suggestions that denial could lead to annexation are legally incorrect. Annexation cannot be used to retroactively evade zoning law. For all of these reasons, I urge the Commission to reject this zoning and require strict compliance with ORC 519.02 and the Township's comprehensive plan. The existence or boundaries of an enterprise zone are legally irrelevant to zoning authority and cannot be used to justify, imply, or pressure a zoning change. Zoning is a police power that must stand on its own, and this proposal does not. Thank you, and I have my hand out. I'm sorry, I'm recovering from the flu, so stuck here.
Okay, is there anybody else who'd like to come up?
I'm Bob Lang, I live on Russia Road in South Amherst. I'm not a lifelong resident here, I moved here about 6 years ago when we retired. And, I normally don't get involved in politics, but when this mega site business came up, I started paying attention. My wife and I bought a place out on Russia Road, we're out in the country in a rural area where we like it. But there's a lot of what appears to me, and I think a lot of other citizens as well, a lot of subterfuge and clandestine things going on in regards to this project. We had one of the commissioners come to Amherst, South Amherst, and talk to us, and I didn't really get anything out of it other than a $2 lap dance, basically, he gave us. So what I'm asking here is, you protect us. Your job is to protect us and plan and make sure that things go into place so that we're protected. And that's what we're asking for, to be protected against things. And without any other data, without any other information, all I can think of is there's a data center going in there, and that's what's going around. Or whatever other industrial things go in there, but we need information. Nobody tells us anything, there's NDAs being signed, there's probably meetings that have gone on, but that should be illegal. It should be illegal for that kind of stuff to go on with public officials who represent us. So what I'm asking for is you slow this process down and get us information and do this the right way to protect the people that live around there. Think about the electrical system, okay, water, you're already doing something with the sewers, the roads. I mean, you're gonna turn Russia Road into a 4-lane freeway if there's, traffic and coming and going from this industrial park or data center or whatever it is. So all I'm asking is that you fulfill that duty to protect us, the citizens, and with the intangible things like quality of life. And that's what a lot of people live out there for, is good quality of life. And that's what we want. So that's all I got to say, really. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'd like to speak.
Okay, Will.
Will Schlechter, Henrietta Township, 6th generation farmer. I'd like to reiterate, there's already light industrial sitting there at the airport. How many acres? I don't know. It's plenty to get started though. There's sewer there. They can get started. Let's get started. And then let's add on to it if it grows. I just came down Leopold Parkway. What's there? It's an industrial site. What's there? Fields. Why would we want to change this over if we don't know what's coming? There's plenty of other ground around here that needs to be utilized. It's already had the infrastructure put into it. And you know what? There's a lot of other sites around this county that need to be utilized. Let's look at them. Let's focus on those things. And the other thing I'm really pissed about, the strategic plan that's been done, 2023, 2024, completely left out agriculture. That hits me hard. I can't believe, I'm shaking, man. It was just a very small, they mentioned it, yeah. And they used pictures from Kansas. Who knows? They had 6 combines coming out to the field. Where in Ohio did you have 6 combines? At least put a little thought into it. And bring us to the table. Don't just piss on us. That's what I feel like happened. We got pissed on. And we continue to get pissed on. We don't want this out there. There's so many freaking people that are against this. It's unheard of. There's a book in here. It's got over 5,000 signatures. This is an online thing. And we're not done yet. I'm not going to stand still for this. I'm going to step down before I say anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If anybody else would like to go?
Go ahead.
I'm the one who has the book. So I feel obligated to go next. So this is a binder, and it's small print. And this, my name is Andrea Barlow. I am a New Russia Township resident. This, just so you can get an idea, is small print. And this is us not even trying. This is not us trying at all. We're gonna put effort into it, and then you're gonna see how much more we're gonna get. I don't know who filled out that survey that none of us saw for the development, the county development. I don't know. Did any of you guys see that survey that went out? Raise your hand if you saw the survey. I saw it after.
I saw something on Facebook for.
Was it
against.
after? Oh,
It was just
against.
recently, and I
But
signed
for, they have a strategic plan. Did you know they have a strategic plan that was
No.
developed? They put tons of money into websites, everything, maps, interactive. Did you know it? Because I
No.
didn't.
No.
And you're saying it's not fair that, to say that everyone in the county doesn't want it? I'm very confident, maybe it's not everyone, but I am very confident that a majority of this county does not want it. We didn't even know you had a development plan until after all this mess came out. None of us took part in that survey. And the other thing is, the timing of these meetings, this room would be full right now. We've got people in this county who are hardworking, honest, hardworking people who are raising families, taking care of their adult parents, working, who would be here right now and they can't be. I'm blessed. I have a job. I can be here. And I am here. And I am vocalizing for those people. They're not here. It would be these people, these 5,000 people we didn't try to get would fill this whole room right now. You need an auditorium. You need something bigger than the Palace Theater in Lorain. Because that's how many people would be in this room right now against this. And to reiterate about the enterprise zone, I'm holding in my hand from the Ohio Department of Service Agency, the Ohio Enterprise Zone Program. Some of the words it says, enterprise zones are not part of the traditional zoning program. Because of the far-reaching effects of tax incentives, the enterprise zones should be used as a tool of the last resort. A community should attempt to satisfy the business needs through other assistance programs prior to considering tax incentives. In all cases, enterprise zones should be negotiated cautiously. And let me remind you again, it doesn't mean infrastructure like what they're using to try to get this approved. It doesn't mean infrastructure. This just means money, finance. It is covering in New Russia Township agricultural land, prime agricultural land. That's worth a lot, because right now we're getting all our food from overseas. That prime agricultural land with that enterprise designation over top, in my view, means that a farmer can get some good tax incentives that will help feed our country, not just our community. That's what I read that as. And everyone should go on to our land use plan, onto New Russia Township's website and read that land use plan. It is not saying what they're presenting. They're twisting it and lying about what it's saying. We are so pro-agriculture, especially in that area. There's even reports from OSU, the reports and findings from OSU in our land use plan. Like, it is not saying how they're presenting it at all. At all. The other thing is, last meeting, they talked about being contiguous. The land is contiguous. I disagree with that at all. Maybe physically the boundary lines might be, but the reality is there's tons of residential, more residential there than anything else. That zoning is not contiguous. And there's some on the east side of the road, not just on the west side. So that's not contiguous in my mind. So if that's going to be used as a reason to pass this or to recommend it, I'm sorry, that's not a good reason. It isn't contiguous. And lastly, this is just a personal thing. At so many of your meetings, you say that we're your customers. I hear you guys say it all the time. Apparently the people on the west side of the county are not your customers because you don't listen to us. You're not listening. And the problem is that we don't want this fight with you. Like, we don't want it. We want to work with you. We want to know our commissioners are on our side, that they're listening to us. We don't want to just be your customers. We want to be your partners. We put you in these positions to help us and to represent us. Not for us to be doing this and fighting for this so much. It's just wrong. If we're your customers, please, treat us like your customers. I'd rather be a resident. I'd rather be your constituent. I'd rather be your partner in all this, not just a customer. But we're not even that. We're not even that. So,
Okay,
I'm done, yes. Thank you for hearing me.
thank you. All right. You have
My name is Doug Weed, W-E-E-D. I live at 49993 Greystone Drive. It's in Brownholme Township. My wife and I lived in Alon Lake for 17 years. We did spend a few years out of state in Tennessee, came back recently, and bought our house near the intersection of Baumhart and Middle Ridge Road. So we're right dead center in the, what's taking place, though we're not in New Russia Township. I will say that there, as has been communicated already, there's overwhelming opposition to these plans. There's great distress because there are rumors that there are non-disclosure agreements, that there are data centers planned, that there are the environmental impact has not been studied or discussed. Data centers, another rumor that's going around is that whoever's behind these, this development or this need for this industrial use is talking about a 15-year tax abatement. So I don't know what benefit you expect from this project, if it is what we believe it is, though you may know more about it than us because we're not privy to non-confidentiality agreements. There's been a lot of national news just within the last 90 days about the oppositions to these mega sites. And I will be impacted, Brown Hill Township will be impacted by the water and sewer extension that would be needed come up Brown Hill. It's not necessary unless you are doing something for major planning. And as people have already said, there's already sewer and water available to certain areas that not being utilized. We don't understand why 2,000 acres eventually, what it's going to be. No one tells us. It's smoke and mirrors. As someone indicated, we're being pissed on. I would request that you would listen to the overwhelming constituents who are opposed to this plan and not the individuals behind it. I want you to be aware that a simple AI search on your computer or your phone takes 2 to 3 liters of water. 2 to 3 liters of water to ask, what does Don Mattingly career batting average make? Don't treat Lake Erie as though it's a forever resource. Don't treat the Great Lakes as it's a forever resource. There's already great decline in the water levels of the Great Lakes. And that's why Ohio, Northern Ohio, is being approached to accommodate their need for our water. And woe be to you guys if the next 1 or 2 or 3 generations have to live with horrible environmental impacts from what may or may not be being planned. You guys know what's being planned, we don't. I strongly suggest, or I strongly wish that you will deny this request. And yes, I was at the New Russia Township meeting a couple months ago. There was close to 400 to 500 people there. Not one person spoke in favor, other than the developer, and he was smoke and mirrors. He didn't tell us what, he didn't tell us when, he didn't tell us how many employees would be. Data centers take 20 to 30 employees once they're built. What's that? In fact, down the road, data centers will probably not even gonna need 20 to 30 employees because they'll be taking care of themselves, except for mowing the lawn and making the charade of it looking like a wonderful property. I again request that you strongly consider turning this request down. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody else wants to get up.
We're at war here. This is war against all of us. This is
Hold on, your name?
Amanda Quimper, Elyria, Ohio. These are lethal to live within 15 minutes of one. Whole housing developments that live by these things are having to get up and leave
They're brand new houses. These structures have 5G lighting on them and antennas, which make your cells go retarded. This is perpetrated fraud upon the people. This is a harm, a trespass against us. And I'm putting you on notice, a verbal notice right now, to cease and desist any mega sites and our data centers. These are lethal. Air pollution, noise pollutions. Kids are having to sleep in their basements. They cannot live by these things. This is warfare, and we all need to wake up to what's going on in this New World Order agenda right now. And I pray that you do the right thing, because we need you to. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
My name's Richard Poland. I live on Russia Road, right across from the airport. In the 60s, 5 people got together and decided that they wanted to build a nature center. So they bought about 500 acres. And when they developed it, it wasn't a nature center. It turned into Lorain County landfill. Across the road from us, half of our farm was taken by eminent domain to build a Lorain County airport. I can remember Governor Rhodes standing on the tarmac there, telling us how good the airport was gonna be for Lorain County. It turned out so far that the only thing it's been good for is to rent the land for agriculture. I'm a 6th generation farm. We've lived there for a long time. I've seen a lot of changes in Lorain County, especially in our neighborhood. We've lost 1,700 acres in Lorain County in the last 10 years of farmland. A bad example, another one is just north of LaGrange, is the new wetlands that they took to develop somewhere else. All that's going to produce is going to be weeds, very toxic weeds, which we as farmers try to control, and mosquitoes. That's what that wetlands have. I hate to see more agricultural land taken away from us. What's happening in America today, a lot of people do not realize. 30% of our vegetables today are not grown in this country anymore. 60% of our fruit is not grown in this country anymore. We do not produce enough food to feed this country today, and you want to take more farmland away from us. I don't want to see that happen. We do have a lot of land that can be developed, and we're not doing it. We asked about the mall, if that's going to be developed. They say yes, nothing's happened there. This is something we've asked about what's going to be done with this land. What are the plans for it? We haven't had an answer. And that's what happened with the landfill. I don't want to see that happen either. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Can I add to what I said earlier?
Sir, go ahead.
Your name was again?
Bob Lang, South Amherst. I would urge you to take the time and read some of the literature and some of the stories out there about how these companies sneak in and look for agricultural land because it's basically cheap, and put the data centers in and look at the effects that it's had on the surrounding areas. And they clothe it in all kind of language like we're seeing. Oh, we don't know who's gonna be there. Oh, it's gonna be light industrial, and all of a sudden, bam, you have a data center in the middle of your town. So just do me a favor and go look at some of that evidence on how this takes place. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Okay. Is that it? Will, do you wanna say something else?
Yeah, well, I just like to apologize for some of the language I use. As you can see, I'm just super emotional about this, and I'm not for it whatsoever. But the other thing I do not like is our county advertising our property across the United States of America on this map that shows different properties that are available. That's like going in someone's house and selling their rooms and them not knowing it. And that ticks me off too. I just wanna make that known. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, my name is Rob Titchrich. I live in Brownhelm Township. The reason I came to this meeting is my wife and I have been kind of trying to research the lot of things that people are saying are really bad about what's being proposed here. And I was trying to find anything that would be good about what's being proposed here, and I can't. Which means maybe there's something good about the proposed mega site or whatever, the development that's being discussed here today. But we don't know what it is, and maybe you do. But we don't know what that is, and that transparency or lack of transparency is what brought us here, but it's a problem. And if there is something good that we'll all benefit from, like we're not gonna have an increase in water bills, we're not gonna have an increase in electricity bills, we're not going to be misrepresented. If there's a benefit, what are those benefits? And how come I can't find them anywhere? What are those benefits? And if you are being lied to, then you're on our side because we don't know what the benefit is collectively, and we should slow down and find out what is this benefit if there is such a need for this change. What is that benefit? Who is it benefiting? 5 people that don't live in Ohio? What's going to happen to the rest of us that are going to ultimately in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years be paying for all of it? So that's why I'm at here and why I'm asking you, can you slow down a little bit and help us learn what the benefits are so we can actually sit down and look at, here's the pros, here's the cons, let's have a decent conversation about it. I applaud you all for the job that you're doing. I just want to find out more about it, and I can't find anything. And that feels deceptive. I don't think anybody up there is deceptive at all. But I can't find anything to help us come around to this decision. Does that make sense? I'm trying to educate myself here, and it's feeling one-sided on this side of the table, you know? Can you help us with that? Thank you.
Okay.
One more thing, Karen Johnson again. 519.12J was just recently passed in September, and it says that if a company basically comes in and they're going to commit some money and then they're going to ask for a rezoning, that it will not be able to go to referendum. And that is the push to get 1,000 or more acres in this site. Right now, it can still go to referendum, but once a company comes in, it is not allowed to go to referendum anymore. This is a land grab, and it's a land grab in a big way, and the people's rights are being taken away. Not only that, another thing that happened this past year is that it used to be 8% of petition signatures to go to referendum. Then it went to 15% the day before we did the Eaton Township referendum. Then this year it went to 35%. 35% signatures in 30 days. This is obviously the government trying to shut the people up and take the people's power away. We're asking you, abide by the 2013 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. That's the law. Thank you.
Okay. I applaud everybody that came. I agree. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you pointed out all your issues. The one thing I would like to say, we don't change the zoning. This committee does not change zoning. Okay, as far as what we're doing, and staff, tell me if I'm wrong on this, we're looking at the mechanics. And I know one lady stood up and said that this property is not contiguous. Well, it is. For our definition, for what we're working with, it is contiguous. If the one lot touches the airport, which is already rezoned, and across the street there's another lot, the street is not a barrier. If it's on one side, then it touches the other side. All of these lots do touch. I checked them out myself, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't gonna speak on that myself. The thing that we're going to do, you know, the mechanic we're looking at is, okay, does this meet the requirement to rezone? We're not saying you have to. We're not saying that at all. Your zoning commission does not have to change anything. Now, and as far as, and I'm gonna say this, I know that the motion that's on the floor right now was to approve the recommendation to change. I don't think, personally, I think that needs to be amended. I don't think we should recommend. I think it meets the requirements, and that's what we should say, is, okay, it's come to this board, it has met the requirements because of because of being contiguous, that's the main one. Since it's not gonna be spot zoning, that, okay, it meets our requirements, it would be acceptable to be changed. We're not telling, I don't think we should be saying, you know, the county should do this. We're not, I don't wanna recommend for them to do anything. I want them to have their own voice. That's my thought. What kind of comments do I have from the committee? Here.
I'm just curious, is anybody in here from Liberty Development Company? From those sides? And they were notified of this meeting, correct?
No.
But it's a public meeting.
Yeah, it's a public meeting, and, we don't notify the adjoining property owners or anything, we just notify the township that we're going to have the hearing, and then usually the township will either put it on their Facebook page or their township website, and they'll encourage people to attend. We do put the notice in the paper as well, so that anyone who receives the paper can see that.
They could totally be here right now.
Go ahead, I'll let somebody, okay. I just think they should be here to, just as a courtesy. And for the people that said that you think we know, maybe some people in this 10-person committee knows, but I'm gonna tell you, I don't know. And I'd like to hear from Liberty what, since they're the agent, what they're pitching.
I'm sorry,
What do you?
we've already had your point, we need to talk here a little bit there,
Sorry.
please.
One of the things is I own real estate, and I believe in property rights, that's number one. I believe if your property's zoned what it is, I believe you have the right to use it for that. If it's agriculture, it's agriculture. If it's commercial industrial, it's commercial industrial. But furthermore, I believe that the townships should control their destiny through their zoning and planning. There is a big need for that in the townships to control it. And the people of the township should make that decision. And furthermore, me as a person on this committee, as well as a commissioner, I know of no project, not one project that's going through, projected, there's no NDA, there's no anything that tells me what's going there. So, what if somebody was planning to put in an agricultural processing center? It could be anything. It could be a smokestack going up with, spewing out all kinds of stuff. There is no plan at this point that I am aware of, and I would think I would have some inside information. I don't have it. So it comes down to townships, we need to give you guys the help to plan the way you're doing things. I want to be involved in the process, to give you the tools to make your planning. You have to watch out for annexation. You start having properties from other cities annex your land, and even though you don't like it, the state of Ohio, the Ohio Supreme Court says that we shall approve those plans as long as they meet the criteria. And if we don't, we're in contempt. So the thing is that the townships, I wanna see you guys get what you want out of it. Now, there are no wells that are drying up right now. And there's no contaminations and pollution. We don't know. And the first time I know, I would say, I've got an NDA I signed. I would be the first one to admit it, but we don't have that. So just like you're saying up here, we are here to say, does it meet the criteria of of zoning and contingent and the criteria of it. We are just saying, yes, it does, or no, it doesn't. And I would move to amend it, just like you said, Carl, that, they've met the criteria versus, we motion to approve it, because I believe that belongs into the township's zoning and planning. And I'll say that to anyone, so I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from.
Well, we use the term recommendation because technically that's what ORC says, is that the planning commission shall make a recommendation to the townships on whether or not to act on it or any modifications that they suggest. So that's why we use the word recommendation. It is purely that, a recommendation. The townships self-rule, they make their own decisions, and that's why you'll have following public hearings with the township where the developer will be there and the public will be invited, and you can have those discussions at this time. Our board is only looking at it from a purely planning perspective. We don't get involved in individuals and what they feel is right or wrong. That's the township's job because they're the ultimate decision maker.
You have a question, Joe?
I guess clarification a little bit, being the newest member on the commission, my understanding is irregardless of what action we take on this, the New Russia Township Zoning Commission makes their own decision.
Correct.
Actually, the trustees, I think, right?
Well, it actually goes back to the zoning commission to either accept or not accept whatever recommendations we might make. They have that option, and then it would go from them to the township trustees. So there's multiple steps and multiple public hearings that have to be held long after we're done.
If it got voted down in the zoning commission, would it go to the trustees then, Carl?
Well, it goes down either way.
It could still go.
Yeah,
Either way.
even if the Township Zoning Commission recommends disapproval, it is again just a recommendation to the trustees. The trustees have the ultimate authority to approve or disapprove.
So, like I said, we're not changing the zoning. We're just looking at basically the mechanics of it. You've all, I'm sure, heard the term spot zoning, where you might wanna put industrial out in the middle. It would look like an island in the middle of farming or in general business. Obviously, we would not recommend to do that. Spot zoning is not something that's recommended to do. So, here again, just a recommendation. And that's all we're doing here today. We are not changing the zoning. We are, and going back to what I said previously, and I brought this up at the last meeting, was the point about being contiguous. It does meet the definition of contiguous as we interpreted it. So, yes, this land is contiguous, it does touch. It would be just an expansion of existing industrial property. It makes sense to do it that way, if that's what you guys want, if that's what your community wants. But if it doesn't get done at the community level, then it doesn't get done.
We can ask any questions.
Go ahead,
Just
ma'am.
in regard to the spot zoning, if you can clarify, so you wouldn't take like a whole farmland and put IP in the middle of it, but yet, if you make this all IP, there are homes that are gonna become little islands, that are gonna be residential, so why would you recommend it one way and not, you know what I mean, does that make sense?
Because
Like, I feel
those
like you're going
homes will
backwards.
still be attached to residential across the street.
No, there's some homes that they're residential across the streets, the airport, and all around them is what you're looking at to make IP. So now they're gonna be completely surrounded by the contiguous land because it's just the road. They're gonna end up being surrounded all IP. So that to me is a little island, that's a spot
From the
zoning.
drawings we were given, that there were no homes besides people who have already engaged the buyer that are gonna be surrounded by IP.
There's a lot of homes.
There's a ton
lot
of
homes
homes.
there
There
now.
are some houses that'll be a notch out and it'll be residential on the other side of the street. So they may be
That's an
residential on
island.
that
You told us the
side.
street doesn't
That's spot
matter.
zoning.
For contiguous, so why does the street matter when you're making a home
So
on an island?
they are contiguous because the property across the street is residential.
So
Same
it's-
thing,
It's the airport across from them. They're looking at the fence. And now all the land all around them, you're gonna make IP. So their little acreage right here is now all IP with a road in between. So that's spot zoning to me. That'd be going the other way. You don't wanna recommend putting an industrial park in the middle of a farm. I get that.
mhm.
But why would you go the other way and now make everything around somebody's home to make them an island?
I mean, it's spot
Yeah.
zoning, it's just
Right,
residential.
And that would be a good thing to bring up to your
You just said
township.
Carl just said we would never do anything that encouraged spot zoning. So you guys.
And this is the other thing-
I'm not pointing fingers at you, I'm just trying to
I would have to go
understand.
back and look at the drawings, but I was pretty sure all the properties, there weren't any isolated.
No,
They at least touched residential on one side.
Nope.
No, they're
Not
isolated.
Down Overland Road.
Yeah.
Also, it's not just contiguous, if you look at the land use plan, I mean, I get the contiguous is very important in your decision, but you also have to read the land use plan. I mean, it's not just based on whether the property's touched, your recommendation should be a well-rounded one based on all the facts that there is residential spot zoning, there is a land use plan that is highly agricultural heavy, things like that. So I'm just asking you to please look at other factors other than the fact that they just share a border, is all.
Go ahead, Will.
So I just wanna understand this right, I mean,
Driver's license.
you guys can add as much light industrial as you want, I mean, just keep adding, I mean, there's gotta be a limit, doesn't there?
We're not the ones trying to do that.
Well, you're saying that they can though. There's gotta be a limit, isn't there a limit to what things can happen?
Not according to the ORC, the Ohio Revised Code. There's nothing stipulates that only so many acres in the county can be a certain thing. I have not read that. If it's there anywhere, I'd love somebody to show it to me.
I'm just a question, I didn't know the answer, but I was just asking.
I don't know if any of the commissioners know it.
Well, I think our focus is the proposal that's in front of us. 10 years or 20 years from now, somebody else adjacent to this property may wanna go to light manufacturing, and that's a decision to be made in 10 or 15 years, depending on what it is. So, I appreciate that people worry about that it continues to spread, but that's why these rezoning decisions are made one at a time, because they're based on the way the world looks at that time.
Well, I wasn't worried about the future, I was just worried about right now, honestly, There's already zoning there that's not being utilized, I guess is my point. And why would you recommend to open up more zoning to possibly or possibly not be utilized, cause no one knows of anything that's coming? So why would you recommend more when there's already light industrial available with a sewer capable of up to 1 million gallons per day that's already there and not being utilized? Why would you recommend more to what's already not being already utilized? That was my question, not about the future.
Carl, understand, the county planning commission, which is who you're before right now, is not making any recommendation, and the recommendation is coming from the property owner themselves to rezone the property.
Request.
There's a request. This is not the commissioners nor the planning commission are driving this issue. Any property owner can come forward through the process of one of the Erin townships, goes back to the trustees of the township ruling authority to make the ultimate decision how you want your land to be developed. A developer could purchase a piece of property or put a contract in a piece of property and request any form of rezoning. And then it's up to the local jurisdiction to approve yes or no. So the decision to rezone this is not driven by this committee or by the commissioners. It's driven solely by the landowner or those who have rights to the property.
So what's the point of this committee then, looking at it?
ORC requires that it come before the planning commission to
Expose it.
to conform, to make a recommendation, as the clerk said, whether this conforms with land use plans in ORC. We don't make, there are no other decisions being made, yea or nay, on the rezoning itself.
But it doesn't
conform?
match land use plans.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm just saying, I was just trying to figure out what you guys are like, what are you comparing this application to say yay or nay? And he said land use plans, and I said, but it doesn't match the land use plans that are currently in place. So if you were comparing it to
We're not
that-
looking at the land use plan.
But you should to
We're
make the
looking at it-
recommendation.
At least what I'm looking at, maybe I'm wrong to do this way, but I'm looking at the mechanics. Does the majority of property, or does any of it touch? Could it be done? According to the ORC, yes, it can be done because of this. I'm not saying to do it.
Right, I know, I'm
I'm
just
not
trying to
telling
figure
your
out.
zoning commission, or your BZA, you guys really need to make this change. I'm not saying that one bit. Go ahead.
If everything meets the requirements, are you members required by law to approve it?
No.
So you can still say no. Is that right?
Our decision carries no
We have no
statutory authority
So
either
you
way.
can say no.
No.
If one of you feel that it's not going in the right direction for what the constituents want, the fact that there's already unused industrial that's never been developed, you could still vote no, is that correct? So you can deny the recommendation, it doesn't stop the process, right?
Not on those grounds.
Not on those grounds.
Those are not grounds.
Is it spot zoning? Is one township gonna do something that's detrimental to
So
another
again, if
township?
it meets all the criteria, are you required by law to vote yes?
No.
So it's a moot point.
Yes.
You're not required by law to say yes, even if it meets all the criteria. You still have the lawful authority to vote no.
That's right.
We would be changing the obligation of us as being board members to take a motion into it.
So why do you even exist?
Well, the mechanics of it, just like he said, we have the mechanics of this process. This is a process. It really is putting it back to the community, the
Understand that.
trustees, and the general population of that community. Like I said, the property owners are coming to us saying, we want to rezone this. Do
And
we
you can
meet
say
the
no.
criteria?
property
And you can say no.
We can say no if it doesn't meet the mechanics, and
Oh, so you have to say
no,
yes. if it meets the
no,
mechanics.
we can say no either way, but we, in my opinion, we have an obligation to be following what we are signed up on this board to do. Sometimes it's not popular, sometimes it looks like it's something different, but as long as we meet the engineering requirements, the process, the application, why would we vote no?
Because there's so little information. Nothing has been made public about what is going to be put there.
That's not-
We don't know, we don't have anything.
That's not a requirement.
That's not a requirement.
Well, you should be, as residents of Lorain County, concerned yourself, along with listening to your constituents.
Could I put my commissioner hat on for a couple minutes before we vote?
You're always welcome to do that.
Okay. There's been some things that, you know, I wouldn't do it at this meeting, but you folks took the time to come here, and I wanna appreciate that. And I do appreciate the comment about, you know, during the day that not everybody can come and so forth, and that's why, you know, a lot of meetings are held in the evenings, but because we're mechanical, and if there was a piece of farmland being turned into houses, and you were against it, you would, you know, we have no authority if they follow the rules of the township, we have no authority to disregard it. We can just recommend that we like what they're doing or we don't. But taking public sentiment into account is not for here, it's for the zoning board and the trustees, okay? And to a couple of questions that are nagging to me is, we don't know either what's coming for the site. You know, a developer, the way the free enterprise system works is the developer buys the land, he's got a plan, he wants to resell it, okay, and he you know, that's the business he's in. We don't promote and say, you know, we're not the one out there saying, hey, you know, we wanna build this. the developer does that. And we are being marketed, you know, Lorain County as well as all of Ohio is being marketed around the country with a group called Jobs Ohio. It's formed in Columbus. And their job is to see to it that Ohio gets some jobs out of all this coming back to the US and all the stuff that's leaving California to come here, is to bring some jobs here. And there's no conspiracy to undo anything on life, but from the commissioner viewpoint, we did the strategic plan because we have some structural problems in our county. And that is, our population is only growing because we're getting older. The 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50s are leaving for better job opportunities elsewhere. And so, as we look at it, we're gonna continue, other than the age creep, we're gonna continue to lose residents, and we lose our ability to function economically. So we look at this project as a jobs creation. We're not looking at a data center for 25 jobs, and if the township doesn't want those, we agree. You put it in the zoning, we changing it to light industrial, but we don't want data centers. End of story. So if we don't want it either. What we are trying to do though is look for those chip manufacturers and cell phone manufacturers and so forth that are relocating to the United States. We'd like to get some of those jobs to replace the 20,000 or more jobs we lost, US Steel, Ford Motor, GM, shipyards, American Crucible, all that stuff that we lost. And so if we don't do something, our ability to function as a county and as a government will suffer from lack of money to do so. And one of the ways you do that is grow the base, more people paying taxes. Other than that, you have to raise the taxes on the folks that are already here, and nobody likes that alternative. But we don't know who's coming, but I will tell you that we were looked at twice in the last 5 years for a chip manufacturer. And they look at a big site like 1,000 acres because they want a huge buffer. They don't want any vibration. They don't want to be next to the turnpike or a railroad, or they've got requirements. Those requirements drive the bus. We don't. And we could say yes or we could say no, but we were passed over twice. We made the short list because we weren't ready. And all this developer and Jobs Ohio is trying to do is get ready for the next opportunity, so that when we graduate kids from the high school or community college, they have a job of the future, because the steel mill's not here and American Ship's not here, and all that kind of stuff. So those are our choices. Okay, on top of that, you got to remember that the people that are selling this agricultural land has been transferring because they don't have the next generation, and they need to sell their land. And so for them, this is an economic issue, and we can't ignore their perspective either. But we don't know, and there's the last non-disclosure agreement that I could find was like 7 or 8 years ago for a project that didn't come to Lorain County, and it's a dead issue. There are no non-disclosure agreements on this site, on this project, none whatsoever.
At any level.
It stops at our level.
It stops at your level.
Yeah,
we would know about it.
Commissioners.
But more
That's how
said,
commissioners.
in South Amherst, more admitted to signing these NDAs. And your strategic development plan, it targets,
I will
it
tell
is
that
you
this-
guys
I
targeting and
will-
leading this.
Mr. Moore's not here, but I will tell you that he did agree, he signed a non-disclosure agreement, but it was 7 or 8 years ago on another project, okay?
And he's he was just in Las Vegas prospecting. And there's no denying that. I mean, you say
No,
you're not
we're
driving it
No.
We're out there marketing Lorain County as a place to
Yeah.
come.
You are.
Just so you know, I'm the one that's doing the Las Vegas thing. First of all, it's in May. It's called the ICSC show. It's an economic development and real estate show. We were doing it to sell Lorain County as a whole. I would prefer to fill empty buildings first. It was primarily for Midway Mall and other things like that, and seeing how we can attract different industry to the state. I was gonna plan it, I come from an industry like that, I'm in real estate. It was not anything about a mega site, because first of all, a mega site, if something comes in there, it's gonna take maybe 10 years to get it accomplished. Look what's happening with Intel. Myself personally, I was not focusing on that at all. So
Okay.
I can tell you right now with all certainty, that was me.
I appreciate that, but I will say
We
this.
at Lorain County are not trying to land, the old adage
Yeah.
is, there's more fish in the ocean than there are whales.
I'd rather have smaller businesses in
We'd
here
like
rather
to
than one
have-
big one going out at another.
So
time.
then why
400,
accept-
500 acres available.
Well, I'd like to answer that question. I'd like to answer that question. That site has not been worked. That's the fault of previous commissioner boards. You know, they haven't done anything to do that. And that site by itself is not big enough for what the people are looking for today, okay?
But we don't know what that is.
They're looking for 1,000 acres. Now, they won't put every acre under roof, but they need big buffer areas, which is good for the community, because they can't have any vibration reach the plant. It's very, microscopic work.
So you know something about
They
it.
put them next to an airport.
That's what we're trying to attract, is light manufacturing. The college teaches it, we have a legacy of manufacturing in Lorain County. If we haven't lost everybody, we gotta make something to have a good economy. We can't all just wash each other's windows and mow each other's lawns, that's not an economy. So at the end of the day, we're looking to attract light manufacturing. Okay, and the site, we couldn't do anything with it, cause up until last year, it was actually part of the airport, and it took 2.5 years to segment it out of the FAA, cause they had control over it, we didn't. Okay, and so we pulled it out of there, so that we could do something with it, and that was the plan. If you go back to the 70s, that was the plan when the airport was built, that they would develop around it, that it would be an attraction for light manufacturing. And so it's a dream unfulfilled.
Many, one of many.
Right.
I'm just gonna let you know what this looks like. This looks like you guys are not going to, you're gonna recommend it because end users, and you've talked to end users, you know what they want, or you wouldn't have specific end users in mind, because you wouldn't know what you needed to be shovel ready.
We don't have specific end users. We have
No,
the type-
but you know what they
we have
want,
the
right?
type of industry we want to
Right,
attract.
right, exactly. And I feel like if you don't recommend this is what it looks like. If you don't recommend this, they're gonna get turned off by that, and they're not gonna wanna
And
come.
you used a couple pages out of our plan. I'm glad you read it. We spent a lot of time,
And it wasn't driven by you guys, though?
we spent a lot of time, whoever turned this piece in. It's got this on the back.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you read the rest of that plan, 3,000 people said we need to replace the jobs of the old days with jobs of the new days.
Who are those three?
Who were the, none of us got that survey, and we
So
talked to
let me
people.
respond to that.
Yeah.
I ran the strategic.
They ran the project.
As far as communications with the residents of the county, it was on TV, it was on radio, it was in the local newspaper. It was also in social media, but the commissioners in their newsletter promoted several times that the strategic plan was being administered and the links to the surveys. There were two, Kim, I know you mentioned you took the
And
survey.
it got mailed to every household.
So was each survey, so say
We only had two.
say I answered both of them, do I count as two
That just
people?
proves it was
Because
driven by
you
you.
have no idea that it was me.
No, we did not keep track specifically, those
So there were
not-
3,000 surveys filled out.
They were in, yeah, well, there were 3,000 people, we had two surveys that were done, that you could participate in each one, so if you participated in one, and to give it proportionally, the first survey, so the New Russia Township represents 0.07% of the county's population. In the first survey, those that identified as living in New Russia Township was 0.06, pretty close to proportional to the population of the county, were those that responded from New Russia Township. In the second survey, 1.9% of the respondents were from New Russia Township. So an increased proportional amount of New Russia Township residents did participate. We did not keep track, those were anonymous.
So where do we come up with the number 3,000?
Those are the number of people those are the individual, you cannot submit two responses. So 3,000 individuals from Lorain County participated in the survey.
So if I would have happened to have answered both surveys, I count as two people.
No, you don't. Unique responders were 3,000.
We had 3 people, and generally they consider that pretty good, but we have 300,000 people in Lorain County.
Right.
3,000 people participated in this process.
Right.
Well, we have 5,000 that don't want it now that they have more information.
Where in the ORC does it say you can have a strategic plan that overrides a comprehensive land use plan?
It doesn't.
That's not.
So
We're
then-
just using it for a roadmap. The point was, instead of politicians telling the people what they think they need, we asked the people, what is it you want?
But no one asked me Russia Township.
When was this?
This was in 2023. Every resident of the county
Was in quarantine.
were made aware of the strategic plan, if you did see it on TV, radio,
I
or
didn't see any
newspaper,
of
or
it.
social
I
media.
never heard of it.
I never heard of
Your
it.
question about farmers and agriculture.
Yeah, so I know someone that went into that, and it was created to leave agriculture out of it. He went to several meetings, and there's no spot for agriculture, and I went through the plan, and there was absolutely, all it did is talk about H2 Ohio, a little bit of agritourism. There's like 3 lines in there total, in the whole thing, so.
The strategic plan was driven by the
so
citizens.
driven.
By the people who participated in it, not us.
As a matter of fact, one of the 2,
Farm Bureau was there though, and
right, and so when the questions were raised, what is it you wanna see in the strategic plan? In the think tank meetings, the 2 days of think tank meetings, which kicked this off, we asked those that were at that meeting, give us guidance, what do you wanna see? This
so if you missed one meeting, it completely changed the way this thing was guided.
No, there were several opportunities throughout the process. So if you go to the website,
I looked at it.
okay, the strategic plan is there. Every comment that's in there are citizen-driven comments. The commissioners didn't participate. There was no steering of a discussion one way or another. If the discussion was led to a certain, by the citizens in a certain way, that's the direction the strategic plan was managed.
Well, I don't think anyone can deny that agriculture is very strong in Lorain County, and it should have been brought up to be added and to have a bigger impact in there, because there's not only, row crop farmers, there are agritourism, there's wineries, there's farm markets. There is so much agriculture in Lorain County, and it's a big part of it, and it got completely skipped over.
But it didn't get that way by design, if you listen to what Dave
I
said.
understand, but it should have
The
been the
people
person
that
that's running it to
attended-
help include those people and
Well-
recognize that there was something missing from it.
One of the pillars, and Kim brought this up in her, had to do with natural resources. which-
That's where agriculture is in.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that's the section of, one of the pillars of the strategic plan referencing agriculture.
Which is a very,
Oh, it's different.
natural resources,
though.
agriculture is a very small part of natural resources, cause it talks about parks and, other aspects of natural resources, water, just not, agriculture should have a pillar on its own in there, in my
Well,
opinion.
that's not where the community drove it though, and it may well be that just not enough of the township people and the farmers participated in the process.
I could probably agree with that, but if I talked to someone that was actually there, and they told me it was designed not to include agriculture, I'm gonna take their word for it. His name's Eric Flynn.
Well, and I'm here to tell you because Dave and I started the process, we advertised it, anybody could come to the college, 500 people came.
Well, maybe we
They
can start the
started
process over again then.
And, we didn't drag anybody in, we didn't wanna tilt it, we didn't wanna do anything, we didn't even go because we didn't wanna influence it, we wanted to be told, where do you want the county to go? And if you missed an opportunity to stand up and be counted, I apologize, but we didn't wanna tilt it by saying, okay, you gotta come and you gotta come, and we didn't have that kind of authority.
Okay.
We just wanted to
Since
find
it's a-
out.
Since it's a fluid document, most land use plans are, would you be up for maybe in a year or whatever? Every so many years, like you do with all your other bylaws and
No, this is
everything, you
just
have
a
to review
strategic
them, go
plan.
back and go
Yeah,
back
so
and
it's a great point. It's on the
keep
strategic
doing,
plan.
yeah.
In the strategic plan,
Chuck E.
the
Cheese.
expectation is in 5 years to review the strategic plan, see what was followed through, what the outcomes of the items that were identified. Yes, that's why it's
So
called
in
5
2 more
years.
years, we'll look for.
5 years.
It doesn't even have to wait 2 years.
But
There's
I
no
will- I
rules
will
on
tell
that. You could do it
Sitting
now.
here and listening to you folks talk about your agricultural preservation designation, and then your land use plan says, if we're gonna have light manufacturing, we want it here next to the airport.
No, it doesn't.
I think there's
No,
a
it doesn't.
conflict there that needs to be
doesn't.
cleaned up, because the developer obviously thought that that meant that that land could be used for light manufacturing.
No, the
It doesn't
land that
say
is
that.
already labeled as IP is what the township is talking about, not expanding and taking over the farmland preservation.
Right, it does
That's
not
the way
say
the
that.
land use.
Yeah, really look at it, cause it doesn't say that.
Doesn't say that.
Anyways,
Does not
back
say
to Carl, if you, can you make a, so using the word recommendation, can you say, we recommend
You
but
look at
we,
the land
with
use
the
plan.
cautious, approach of X, Y, and Z? Like, can you add to your, whatever your recommendation is, since you have to use the word recommendation?
Well, I don't really.
It doesn't really matter.
Use recommendation.
Well, that's literally what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what we have. But
You don't have to.
Commissioner Gallagher's comment of criteria, that it meets the criteria. I think it's an EU self-board process.
And then technically, the staff looks at those technicalities, and the board recommends, we don't recommend the rezoning, we recommend the opinion of the staff. They've done the research, they've done the homework.
We don't wanna do that.
I get that.
We've done that before, where we recommended what the.
Yeah,
we-
Greg Peltz
Yeah, we had the
recommended
attorneys
that we
tell
approve
us,
or deny, we don't accept just my recommendation.
And in my 3 years here, we've recommended some things that the locals didn't go with.
well, we just
And
had that
vice
today
versa.
in the minutes, showed that other communities didn't follow our recommendation.
Right.
We don't take any of that personal.
And we don't have to accept it simply as an approve or deny. If the board wants to add anything to that recommendation, the board has the option of adding conditions or further recommendations. They've done that in the past, and they're permitted to do that just as thinking points for the township.
Like saying, maybe look to see, we recommend you moving forward with the process, but maybe we would recommend you looking at the end user before you make your final decision. I'm just using that as an example.
The land
So
use
you could put that in there.
Yeah.
You could put something like that in there, okay.
But there is also a timeline by Ohio Revised Code, and they have to follow that timeline with their public meetings, and say they have their first public meeting and they don't finish the discussion, they can continue that public meeting for another 30 days.
That's what we did
But
last
they
time.
can't just arbitrarily pick 6 months or a year, it has to be a continuous process.
Right.
Yeah, you have to understand, just as all of you people have properties, and you have property rights, the people that purchased these lands or have options on these lands, they have rights too. And that's what we have to do, is we have to follow the law. They brought something to the township has to bring it to us. That's what the statute says. So that's what they're doing. We're just, if we don't do, like, if we just arbitrarily say, hey, no, just because you own this land on the other side of the road, we don't think you should do that. I can tell you, I was in court all day Tuesday. I'm Grafton Township trustee. And there's an entity who wants to do something in our township. And what we had in our zoning, we thought, was good. Well, obviously the court didn't agree with what we had. So I spent all day in court Tuesday. I don't really want to do that again. Not my favorite place, and I'll let any attorney. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm going to be voting on the mechanics, just as I started out with. And the fact is, the property owner that brought this through the legal process, he hasn't done anything wrong. They, or whoever you wanna call them, the entities haven't done anything wrong. This is their process. Whatever we do today is not the end of the process. I just want everybody to understand, our hands are somewhat tied. Everybody's saying, well, you can just vote no. Well, yeah, you vote no, and then I'll be in court. And I don't really feel like that. So, Bill, you think you have?
Question, so there's been some discussion if commissioner, the township trustees end up approving what they're applying for. The houses may become islands of, housing. How confident are we that we're not, by approving this or recommending the approval, that we're not creating those islands?
We're not gonna create any. We don't create any of that stuff.
But you're recommending it.
If they came before us and we looked at it and there was a house in the middle of the
Well,
new proposal,
we could possibly change our
change the wording, say as long as it
wording
doesn't
and say,
create any zoning islands.
Well, we could do it probably as how it's been presented to us, that there are no islands. So if they would come up, then what was presented to us was incorrect, and we can modify our, at a later date.
Yeah, the map's in the packet. If you turn in your packet to
I don't know.
B.3B-6. And that shows the parcels that are gonna be,
these are houses. And they're in part of that.
okay,
That's what Overland Road.
yeah.
So there would be created islands.
Yeah, there would be, by this zoning, created islands.
You'd like to ask.
Between parcel 18 and parcel 27
I do.
on
So,
Overland Road.
so you can call it a recommendation or call it whatever you want. You're still helping kick this can down the road that the real law of the land is the Constitution, and this is an unlawful thing that's happening and could be very harmful to the people.
Wait, what's unlawful?
By letting this go through, something that you guys supposedly don't know what's gonna happen, some mega site and or data center.
Okay, first off, everybody's calling this a mega site. As far as I'm concerned, there's
That's what
9
they called
parcels.
it.
There's 9 parcels coming.
Okay.
There's an entity that's got 9 parcels that want to know if it would be possible to change it to IP designated.
But Team
But that
Neo
would be
has
harming
options.
the
Team Neo
people.
has options
I
on
can
most
only
of
hear
that.
one person.
Team Neo has options on most of those properties. A majority of those properties, Team Neo has options on them, and through the development strategic plan, Team Neo and the website, they are promoting a mega site, and they're the ones with the options on the land. And if that needs to be publicly
None of
known.
that has been presented to the. to us.
I'm
That's the
presenting it to you
problem.
now.
That's the problem.
I'm presenting it to you now, and I'm asking you to use the land use plan. I'm asking you to consider the options that are on there, and like 90% of that land is options, with options for Team Neo to put a mega site that is promoting a mega site on there, and the commissioners who say they're not driving this have said that. So I just want that publicly known so you can consider this a recommendation as well.
This would all be unlawful.
One comment I'd like to make is these guys, I mean, the property owner, he does have right to build or do as he wishes to do. But if this is light industry or heavy industry, it's a commercial application. We, the people, need to know what that application is, and that property owner needs to divulge that information. Otherwise, nothing can move forward until that is known. And that has not been made known. Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts.
What city do you live in?
I live in LaGrange.
And that's true. The one thing that's been said by everybody that we all agree on, it is easier to figure out what to do if you know who's going in. What we're trying to do is get ahead of the curve. When the opportunity comes, we wanna be ready. So
I
our part of
understand
this
that.
is the
I understand
sewers and
that.
the water, the 1,000 acres is not us. That's Jobs Ohio and Liberty Development.
I understand that, but there's pushback. The buyer's threatening to sue if he doesn't get his will. And he hasn't given us any information.
And this is the
None.
thing. You guys went to Team Neo and requested their help. Are we just forgetting this?
No, we didn't.
Like, but you're saying you're not driving this, but you are. You're the
You're
one.
not Team Neo.
But you went to Team Neo and
No,
asked them
no.
to come.
I did not, I had no.
You
plan.
did it, maybe
And
more
you
did.
also
I don't know
said that
which
us
one.
Commissioners all did something else. I did not do what you said I did. So we have to have our facts.
Oh, no, I wasn't thinking it was you anyway. I thought it
You
was another
personally.
commissioner, to be honest with you, but, yeah,
The
I,
commissioner.
No, these companies, they go to Jobs Ohio. Jobs Ohio solicits.
but Dolan told me myself, he told me that the commissioners went to him and that it was on you guys. That's what Dolan told me. He said you guys went to him. That's what he said. I have other people who were around me at the meeting when they presented. I am not making that up.
I would tell them- I'd tell them the same
That's
thing.
primary source information, I
There's been
promise you.
0 conversations with me about a mega site, 0. And I put my word and my honor on it.
I believe you, but I'm telling you, as an entity, as the 3 commissioners, it's not looking good. You guys do not, it looks bad. It looks really bad on our end. And we want to not, we don't want this. Like, we want to work together with you guys, but this looks bad. It looks really bad. The fact that this recommendation isn't considering the land use plan, that it's not considering the ones of the public, just because it's contiguous doesn't mean that you have to pass it. I feel like if you not recommending it is going to be a deterrence from an end user. It looks bad. I'm just letting you know so you know how to fix this, because I'm just showing you what we're seeing, that's all.
Can we amend the motion to say that this is due to the mechanics of our vote?
God, it's not just mechanics, it's
It
an
meets the
overall.
requirements of the mechanics. But furthermore, is there, if there is property that is being so-called, I would call it, in my world, I call it landlocked to light industrial all around it, is there properties that are locked in the middle of their zoning?
Yes.
There'll be
Yes.
residential property.
There's
Yes,
residential
there's
properties on
residential
the
properties on Overland Road. When I looked at the map, I can see that there are going to be several on Overland Road that will be surrounded by the industrial park.
Are those farmhouses that go with that property?
No.
Or are they
No,
independent?
they're
These are
individual lots.
individual
So are there
lots.
properties in this motion that do not have houses surrounded by them that are part of the zoning that we would recommend? And we split
I was
this
gonna say,
recommendation.
there's only one parcel that has lots that will be surrounded by the IP. It's a large parcel, but it is only one parcel.
There's some on 58 too.
There are some parcels that, there's a farmhouse, and they're going to be selling the house as well as the property. But,
Can I change my motion to, approve? What's that?
The third change.
I just asking, I didn't say I did.
amend motion,
Amend motion to include the parcels that do not surround residential housing for the mechanics, just like Carl said.
There's some on 58 too, some
And I
of
would,
those houses.
I would make my second, since I seconded the original motion, I would second
you
the
amend
amendment.
the second.
Thank you for that, Jeff.
And I call for the question.
Okay. All right, we have a proper first and a second, we've had our discussion.
Can I have the amendment or the motion explained? Or what?
Basically, if they meet the mechanics of the ones that are contingent, where they're not surrounding residential area, because they have property rights too, in my opinion, that the ones that surround property, residential properties are removed from our motion.
So if there's 7 houses and there's 60 acres that surround them, there's one, the rest, we're denying the request, or we're suggesting
Yes.
to not approve the 60
The
acres,
60 acres, great.
as an example.
Yes.
So could we actually, would it be beneficial for us to include the parcel number of the property that we're?
Yes.
Yes.
Cause there is only that one.
Yeah, I can do that.
Can you tell us what that is?
The parcel number is 0900 070 000
0900007000018.
So it's 0940
4 zeros.
7, and then 1, 2, 3 more 4 zeros, 4 more zeros, and then 18.
Okay.
Or not recommending.
And then you guys are worried about being sued by the property owners that are trying to rezone this, but what about all the people that are against it and the 5,000 signatures that we have on a petition? And are you worried about being held accountable by the people, which the people have all the rights?
Well, if you had bought that property, you would have a lot more of it.
If we could afford it, cause an investor came in.
Well, we,
What about it?
That's not
I
our job.
understand myself.
But if it's harming the people,
I've got my own property, everybody else has their own property. What you own is what you own.
Right.
but it's a harm against
When my-
all the rest of the
When my
people.
neighbor tells me I shouldn't be cutting trees down because it ruins his view, well, it's not his view, it's mine. So the property owner has the most rights. The community has the zoning, that's what you're that's what you guys are forgetting.
No, we're not.
No,
People
it's the
have all
options.
the rights, not one or
There's
two
options.
people.
You're forgetting that Team Neo has options. A lot of them in this. Please don't forget that, because it's not just the property owner. That's not. That it's. This is bigger than that. This is much bigger than that, and it can't be handled the same way. This is a nuanced situation. It can't be handled the same way that you would normally handle a normal thing.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, we have the first, we have the second. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion carries.
I think everybody should be here. I do. We always did the council, we did it 20 years.
Okay. So, that motion passed. Intergovernmental reviews, we have none at this point. Quarterly labor force estimate report, we have it back in our packet.
Yeah, this is just for the board's information, Lorain County, this report was delayed because the government shut down, so this is September statistics. The county's unemployment rate was 3.3%, which is the lowest we've been in over a year. The state was at 4.1%, and the nation was at 4.3%, so you can see that we have been on a downward trend since July of last year.
Okay. Do we have any other views here? Hearing none, I get a motion to adjourn.
Second. Second meeting. Get her in the minutes, so they know she's here.
All those in favor?
Hey Kim,
Any
how many
opposed?
people voted?
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank